At my sister's wedding, she mocked me in front of everyone. Then her groom bowed and said, "Sir, the wedding invitation had my name printed in full, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Bennett, like they'd forgotten they'd spent 6 years pretending I didn't exist." My mother answered the door before I could knock. Pearls, pressed cream blouse, that smile she reserved for the neighbors and the church ladies. "Please don't make a scene," she said. "Not hello, not we missed you, just a warning. I'm here for Claire, that's all." She stepped aside, barely, like even letting me through the door was a concession she'd regret later. The house smelled the same, lavender and furniture polish. Photos lined the hallway. Claire's graduation, Claire's engagement, Claire's promotion at the marketing firm. My high school photo had been replaced with a landscape painting. Dad was in the living room reading the newspaper. Didn't look up. "Alex is here," Mom announced. He said. Turned the page. That was the extent of our reunion. Dinner was that night. Rehearsal dinner, technically, though I hadn't been invited to the rehearsal. 15 people around the polished mahogany table Mom had inherited from her mother. The good china, the crystal glasses, the chandelier we weren't allowed to touch as kids. Claire sat at the head in a white dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Her fiancé Preston sat beside her. Tall, confident, expensive watch. I was seated between Aunt Dorothy, who'd asked me 3 times what I did for work because she couldn't remember, and a college friend of Claire's, whose name I never caught. The toasts started around the salad course. Dad stood first, talked about Claire's accomplishments, her intelligence, her beauty, her perfect choice in partner, didn't mention having 2 children, just 1 daughter, as if I'd never existed. Mom went next. Same theme. Claire the golden child. Claire the pride of the family. Claire who'd never disappointed them. Then Preston's father. Then his best man. Then Claire's maid of honor. Nobody introduced me. Nobody mentioned their oldest son had just returned from 18 months overseas. Nobody acknowledged my rank. A retired colonel 3 seats down. Preston's uncle, I'd learned, squinted at me halfway through dessert. Recognition flickering across his face like he was trying to place me. Mom saw it too. She laughed, that tinkling laugh she used at parties. "Oh, Alex works in logistics. Government contracting. Very boring stuff. We won't bore you with details." The colonel's eyebrows went up, looked at me, back at my mother. I said nothing. Just ate my tiramisu and let the lie hang there. Claire leaned forward, making sure her voice carried down the table. "So Alex, how long are you in town? Or are you on call to guard some warehouse somewhere?" Laughter rippled through the room. Preston grinned, squeezed Claire's hand. I set down my fork. "The things I guard are slightly more important than warehouses." "Oh?" Claire's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Like what? Office supplies? Parking lots?" More laughter. "The people I protect," I said quietly, "outrank everyone in this room." For the first time that night, the laughter stopped. Claire's smile froze. Preston's uncle, the retired colonel, set down his wine glass, slowly, staring at me now, really staring. Mom stood up quickly. "Dessert wine, anyone? I have a lovely port." The conversation shifted. Crisis averted. But Preston's uncle kept watching me for the rest of the night. I grew up being compared to Claire. She was 3 years younger, smarter, according to our parents, more talented, more charming, better at everything that mattered. I was the problem child, not because I got in trouble, not because I did anything wrong, just because I existed in Claire's shadow and couldn't seem to step out of it. When I joined the army at 22, Dad said it was because I couldn't hack it in the real world. Mom said it was such a waste of my potential. Claire said it was kind of embarrassing when her friends asked what her brother did. I stopped coming home for holidays after the first year, stopped calling except on birthdays, stopped expecting them to care about my life. Over the next decade, I deployed 4 times, earned my commission, rose through the ranks faster than expected, received commendations I couldn't talk about for missions I couldn't mention. I sent them emails occasionally, updates, photos when I could. Mom's responses were brief. "That's nice, dear. Claire just made partner at her firm." Dad's were briefer. Noted. Claire never responded at all. When I made lieutenant colonel at 34, youngest in my unit, I called to tell them. Mom put me on speaker. I could hear the TV in the background. "That's wonderful, Alex. Listen, we're watching something. Can we call you back?" They never called back. So when Claire's wedding invitation arrived at my APO address 6 months ago, I almost didn't come. But she was still my sister, and some stupid part of me thought maybe, just maybe, this would be different. The wedding was at St. Catherine's Episcopal Church. Old money, old architecture, the kind of place where you needed connections just to book a date. I arrived 45 minutes early, wearing my dress uniform. Blues, ribbons, the works, seemed appropriate for a formal wedding. The church coordinator took one look at me and frowned. "Are you supposed to be in uniform?" "I'm military. This is my formal attire. It's just, the bride wanted a specific aesthetic. Maybe you could change into a suit?" "I don't have a suit." She looked pained. "Let me check with the mother of the bride." She disappeared. Came back 5 minutes later with Mom. "Alex?" Mom's smile was tight. "Could you possibly not wear the uniform? It's very attention-grabbing. Claire wants the focus on her and Preston today. This is what I wear to formal events. Surely you have something else." "I've been overseas for 18 months. I flew in 2 days ago. This is what I have." Mom's jaw clenched. "Fine, but you'll sit in the back. And Alex, please don't make a scene. I'm just here to watch my sister get married." "Good. Keep it that way." The church filled up quickly. 200 guests, maybe more. A seating chart chart on an easel by the entrance listed every attendee in careful calligraphy, organized by importance, family in front, friends in middle, distant relatives and co-workers toward the back. My name wasn't on it. "Excuse me," I said to the usher. "Where am I sitting?" He checked his list, checked again. "I don't see your name, sir." "Alexander Bennett, brother of the bride." His eyes widened. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me." Mom appeared from nowhere. "He's at table 12. Table 12 is for the reception, ma'am. This is the church seating. He'll sit in the back, far left, behind the pillar." The usher looked at me, at Mom, back at me. "It's fine," I said. I sat where I was told, behind the pillar, where the view was partially blocked, where nobody would see me unless they were specifically looking. The organist started playing. Guests stood. Claire floated down the aisle like she'd been practicing her whole life. Probably had. She'd talked about her dream wedding since she was 8. Preston waited at the altar, beaming. Perfect hair, perfect suit, perfect smile. His eyes scanned the pews as Claire approached, looking for someone. Found me, behind the pillar. He didn't smile, didn't nod, just looked, then looked away. The ceremony was beautiful, traditional. The priest talked about love and commitment and family. When he called for immediate family to gather for a blessing, I stood out of habit. Mom's hand touched my elbow, light as lace, iron underneath. "Stay seated. This is for the wedding party. I'm her brother." "You're not in the wedding party, Alex. Don't confuse things." I sat back down, watched as aunts and uncles and cousins all gathered, watched as the priest blessed Claire and Preston and their families, watched as my own family pretended I wasn't there. The reception was at the Ashford Country Club. Valet parking, crystal chandeliers, waiters in white gloves. My assigned seat was at table 12. I found it in the back corner, near the kitchen doors, partially hidden by a large floral arrangement. The place card read, "A. Bennett," in small font. The napkin at my setting was a different color than everyone else's, slightly off-white instead of cream, like they'd run out of the good ones. When I ordered a drink, the waiter said, "I'm sorry, sir. This table is marked as non-alcoholic service only." "Why?" "I don't know, sir. That's just what my list says." I found Mom near the head table. "Did you mark my table as non-alcoholic?" "We thought it was best. You know, given your situation." "What situation?" "Being in the military. We didn't want you to get comfortable and say something inappropriate." I stared at her. "You think I can't handle a glass of champagne at my sister's wedding?" "I think it's better to be careful, for everyone's sake." I walked back to table 12, poured my own champagne from a bottle I bought at the bar. The chair wobbled when I sat down, one leg slightly shorter than the others. Perfect. The speeches started around 8 p.m. Preston's father went first, talked about love and partnership and the bright future ahead. Preston's best man went next. Funny stories, inside jokes. The room laughed in all the right places. Claire's maid of honor. More laughter, more tears. Dad stood up, clinked his glass. "I want to talk about my daughter," he said. "My beautiful, accomplished, perfect daughter. From the moment Claire was born, I knew she was special. Everything she's touched has turned to gold. Every goal she's set, she's achieved. She's made me proud every single day of her life." He raised his glass. "To Claire, the light of our lives." Everyone drank. Nobody mentioned they had a son. Nobody mentioned I existed. Then Claire took the microphone. She'd changed into her reception dress, white silk, perfectly tailored, her makeup touched up, her smile practiced and pristine. "Thank you all so much for being here," she said, voice carrying through the ballroom. "I want to give a special shout out to my big brother Alex." Every head in the room turned toward table 12. I kept my face neutral. He came all the way from wherever he's stationed, some base somewhere doing security stuff. A few polite chuckles. "He guards important people, apparently." She made air quotes with her free hand. "Very important warehouses and supply closets and things like that." More laughter. Louder now. My hands clenched under the table. "He's basically a security guard who gets to wear a fancy uniform," Claire continued, her voice dripping with sweet condescension. "But hey, at least he made it on time for once. That's progress, right?" The room erupted in laughter. Preston grinned, squeezed Claire's hand, whispered something that made her giggle. Mom lifted her glass from the head table. "The family disappointment," she announced cheerfully. "But we love him anyway." Applause. Actual applause. People at the surrounding tables turned to look at me, some sympathetic, most amused, a few outright mocking. I stood up, not fast, not angry, just steady. Every eye in the room followed me. I didn't walk to the microphone, didn't make a scene, just stood there in my dress blues, ribbons on my chest, rank on my shoulders, waiting. Preston moved first. He stood up from the head table, said something to Claire I couldn't hear. Her smile faltered. Then he crossed the ballroom floor, walked straight to me. The room went silent. Preston stopped exactly one pace in front of me. Then he saluted. Sharp, precise, perfect form. "Sir," he said, loud enough to carry through the ballroom, "please forgive my wife. She doesn't understand what she just did." He turned to face the room, still at attention. "This is Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Bennett, United States Army Special Operations, my commanding officer, the man who saved my life in Kandahar." The silence that followed was absolute. You could hear the ice melting in abandoned drinks. Claire's face went from flushed to white in seconds. The microphone slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a feedback screech that made everyone wince. My mother's champagne glass tipped over. Wine spilled across the white tablecloth like blood in slow motion. Dad just sat there, mouth slightly open, frozen. Preston's uncle, the retired colonel, stood up from his table, saluted. Then a woman I didn't recognize, crisp posture, steady eyes. She stood and saluted. Then another man, then another woman. 5 people standing at attention in the middle of a wedding reception. Not moving, not speaking, just honoring what was real. Preston held his salute until I returned it. "At ease, Captain," I said quietly. "Yes, sir." He turned back to the head table, to Claire, who was crying now, mascara running, perfect makeup ruined. "I served under Colonel Bennett in Afghanistan," Preston said to the room. "June 2019. Our convoy was ambushed outside Kandahar. I was pinned under a vehicle. Enemy fire from 3 positions. My leg was shattered. I was bleeding out." His voice didn't shake, didn't break. "Colonel Bennett crawled 50 yards through active enemy fire, pulled me out, carried me to the extraction point, held pressure on my femoral artery for 43 minutes until the medevac arrived. I have 2 daughters because of him. I have a life because of him. I have this wedding because of him." Claire's hand went to her mouth. "He received the Silver Star for that action," Preston continued. "He's completed 6 deployments. He's commanded troops in 4 combat zones. He's protected assets and personnel at the highest levels of classified operations. And he's done it all while his own family pretended he was a security guard." The silence was deafening. Mom was crying now too. Quiet, contained tears that she tried to hide behind her hand. Dad just stared at the table. Preston turned back to me. "Sir, I apologize. On behalf of my wife and her family, you deserved better. You've always deserved better." "Apology noted, Captain. Congratulations on your marriage." "Thank you, sir." I didn't pick up a microphone, didn't make a speech, didn't explain or justify or defend myself. I just straightened my uniform, adjusted my cover, and walked out of that reception hall with my head high and my bearing perfect. The 5 military personnel who'd stood followed me out. We didn't speak, just walked together in formation through the country club doors. Outside in the parking lot, Preston's uncle approached me. "Colonel Bennett, retired Colonel James Morrison. It's an honor." We shook hands. "I thought I recognized you at dinner," he said. "But when your mother said logistics, she said what she needed to say. Still, that was wrong. What they did in there, all of it. It's been wrong for a while, sir. Tonight just made it public. For what it's worth, I read about Kandahar, the after-action reports. What you did was extraordinary. I did what anyone would do. No, son, you did what few can do. And you did it without recognition or thanks from the people who should have been proudest." The other 4 military members came over, introduced themselves, 2 active duty, 2 veterans. We stood in that parking lot for 20 minutes, just talking, sharing stories, being the family my actual family had never been. My phone buzzed, text from Claire. "Please come back, we need to talk." "I'm so sorry." I turned off my phone. I drove back to my hotel, small place near the airport, clean, quiet, nothing fancy, changed out of my uniform, hung it carefully, polished the shoes out of habit, sat on the bed and stared at the wall for a long time. There's a specific kind of grief that comes from being unseen by the people who are supposed to see you first. It's not loud, not dramatic, just hollow. My phone, still off, sat on the nightstand. I knew there would be messages when I turned it back on. Apologies, explanations, justifications. None of it would matter, because the truth was out now. Not the truth about my rank or my service or my medals. The truth about who they were. People who valued image over integrity. Who'd rather lie to guests than admit their son was something they couldn't control or claim credit for. People who'd spent 6 years erasing me from family photos and conversations because I didn't fit their narrative. I'd spent so long trying to earn their pride, their recognition, some small acknowledgement that I mattered. Tonight, I realized I'd been asking the wrong people. I flew out the next morning, early flight, 5:47 a.m. departure, left the hotel at 4 Xiao, stopped at a coffee shop, sat at the airport gate watching the sun rise through the massive windows. My phone, finally turned back on, had 37 messages. From Claire, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Please call me. Please." From Mom, "We need to talk about last night. You embarrassed the family." From Dad, "You made a scene. This is exactly why we don't include you in things." From Aunt Dorothy, "Why didn't you tell us you were so important?" From various relatives I barely knew, mix of apologies and accusations. From Preston, "Sir, I hope I didn't overstep. I couldn't stay silent. You deserved better." I responded to one message. Preston's, "You did the right thing, Captain. Take care of your wife. Take care of your family. That's your mission now." I deleted the rest without reading them, boarded my flight, settled into my seat, closed my eyes. By the time we landed at Fort Bragg, I'd made a decision. I was done. Done trying to fit into a family that had spent my entire adult life trying to shrink me down to something manageable, something they could dismiss or ignore or lie about. Done apologizing for being someone they couldn't use for social status. Done caring whether they were proud of me. I had brothers and sisters. They wore uniforms. They'd bled beside me. They'd trusted me with their lives. That was family. The rest was just biology. 3 months later, I received a letter, handwritten, Claire's handwriting. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity won. "Alex, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't know if I even deserve the chance to apologize properly, but I need to try. Preston told me everything, not just about Kandahar, though that alone would have been enough, but everything. The missions you can't talk about, the risks you've taken, the people you've saved. He told me you're the kind of officer people would follow anywhere, that soldiers request to serve under your command, that you've turned down promotions to stay with your unit because you believe in leading from the front, and I called you a security guard in front of 200 people, while you sat in the back of my wedding like an unwanted guest. I can't take it back. I can't undo the years of dismissing you or minimizing who you are. I can't undo the way I let mom and dad treat you like you were less than me. I don't know when I became that person, the one who values image over substance, who cares more about how things look than how they actually are. Preston has asked me to look at myself honestly, at who I've become, at the way I treat the people I'm supposed to love. It hasn't been pretty. I'm going to therapy, trying to figure out how I became someone who could mock her own brother at her wedding, trying to understand why I needed you to be small so I could feel big. This isn't about asking for forgiveness. You don't owe me that. This is about acknowledging what I did, what we all did, and saying clearly, you deserved better. You've always deserved better. I'm sorry, Alex, for all of it. Claire. I read the letter twice, then I folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. Didn't respond, didn't call, just put it away and went about my day. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe someday we'd rebuild something, but not today. Today I had soldiers to lead, missions to plan, people who counted on me to be the leader they needed. That was enough. 6 months after the wedding, I got promoted to full colonel. The ceremony was small. My unit, my commander, a few brass from the Pentagon. Mom called the day before. I'd unblocked her number a month earlier. Still hadn't spoken to her. Alex, it's Mom. I heard about your promotion. Dad and we'd like to come to the ceremony, if that's okay. I listened to the voicemail 3 times. Called her back. Mom. Alex. Oh, I'm so glad you called. About the ceremony. It's closed. Active duty personnel and cleared guests only. You won't be able to attend. Oh, of course. Security. I understand. Maybe we could take you to dinner after, to celebrate? I'm flying out that night. Classified assignment. Oh, silence on the line. Mom, I need to go. Alex, wait. I want you to know I'm sorry for the wedding, for all of it. You're my son, and I failed you. We failed you. Yeah, you did. More silence. Is there anything I can do to make this right? I don't know. Maybe, but not right now. Okay, I understand. I love you, Alex. I hung up without saying it back. Not because I didn't love her, but because love wasn't enough anymore. Love without respect is just words, and I was done with words. The promotion ceremony was everything I needed it to be. My commander, Brigadier General Patricia Hammond, 28 years of service, pinned the eagles on my shoulders herself. Colonel Bennett, she said, voice carrying through the room. You've earned this rank through exceptional leadership, unwavering dedication, and consistent demonstration of the Army values we all strive to embody. It's an honor to serve alongside you. She saluted. I returned it. My unit applauded. Men and women I'd served with, people I'd trained, people I'd led through hell and back. Preston was there. He'd requested leave specifically to attend. Congratulations, sir, he said afterward. Thank you, Captain. Shouldn't you be with your wife? She knows where I am. She supports it. Actually asked me to give you this. He handed me an envelope. Inside was a photo. Preston and Claire on their honeymoon, smiling, happy. On the back, Claire had written, "Thank you for saving him. Thank you for saving us. I'm sorry I didn't see who you were until it was too late." See, I looked at Preston. How is she? Getting better. Therapy is helping. She cut contact with your parents for a while. Needed space to figure out who she is without their voices in her head. That's good. She asks about you. Wants to know if you're okay. If there's any chance, tell her I'm okay and tell her I need more time. Understood, sir. We shook hands. He left. I stood there in my new rank, surrounded by people who respected me for who I was, not what I could do for them. That was the family that mattered. 1 year after the wedding, I got invited to Preston and Claire's baby shower. The invitation was tentative. Handwritten note from Claire. I know I have no right to ask you to be part of our lives, but you're going to be an uncle, and I want my child to know the man who saved their father's life. Only if you're comfortable. No pressure. See, I thought about it for a week. Called Preston. Sir, I got the invitation. You don't have to come. Claire understands. What did you tell your daughter? About me? We're having a girl, sir. And I told her that her uncle is a hero. That he's the reason she exists. That he's the best officer I ever served under. You tell her the truth? Always, sir. She's going to grow up knowing exactly who you are. Not the version your parents invented. The real version. Okay? I'll come to the shower. But Preston? Yes, sir? I need you to promise me something. Your daughter grows up knowing that truth matters. That integrity matters. That how you treat people matters more than how you look to other people. I promise, sir. That's the kind of parent I want to be. Good. Then I'll be there. The baby shower was at Preston and Claire's house. Small gathering. Claire's friends, Preston's family, his military buddies. My parents weren't there. I didn't invite them, Claire said when I arrived. I needed this to be about our daughter, not about managing their feelings or maintaining their image. How are they handling that? Not well, but that's not my problem anymore. I'm done protecting them from the consequences of their own choices. Good. She looked different, quieter, less polished, more real. Thank you for coming, she said. I know I don't deserve. Your daughter deserves an uncle. That's what matters now. Claire's eyes filled with tears. We're naming her Alexandra, after you, if that's okay. I didn't trust myself to speak. Just nodded. Preston wanted Bennett as her middle name. Alexandra Bennett Preston, our strong girl, named after the strongest person we know. I'm honored. You don't have to be part of our lives, Alex. I understand if you can't forgive what I did, but I want you to know that I see you now. I see who you actually are, and I'm so incredibly sorry I didn't see it sooner. I'm working on forgiveness, Claire. It's a process, but I'm here. That's a start. She hugged me. I let her. It didn't fix everything, didn't erase the years of dismissal and mockery and erasure, but it was something, and sometimes something is enough to build on. Alexandra was born 3 months later. I was deployed when it happened. Got the message through official channels. Photo sent to my encrypted email. Tiny baby. Preston holding her. Claire exhausted and smiling. Subject line, she's here. Thank you for everything. Claire and Preston. I looked at that photo for a long time. This little girl would grow up knowing her uncle's real story. Not the sanitized version, not the dismissive version. The truth. She'd know that family wasn't about blood or obligation or maintaining appearances. She'd know it was about showing up, about honoring who people actually are, about valuing substance over image. That mattered more than any apology, more than any reconciliation. Teaching the next generation to do better. That was the real vindication.